YouTube Nation, this is Ronnie J. Cole II with eXp Realty, your local Atlanta, Georgia realtor and real estate agent. I'm coming to you today to bring you my second video, which follows up to my first video in the topic of how to get your real estate license. This particular video is how to choose your real estate broker. So stay tuned. I'm so happy you guys decided to come back to see the second video of how to choose your real estate broker. Remember, if you like the information and the content that I'm bringing you, please remember to like the page, give it a thumbs up, as well subscribe and hit that little bell at the bottom as well. Once you do that, you'll get notifications as my videos are released, and I'll try to release at least one video a week. So we want to know how to choose the real estate brokerage, the perfect or the right real estate brokerage for you. You don't want to be one of these agents who jumps around from brokerage to brokerage to brokerage. That's not a great look. And you kind of want to have some stability when you're going from, as you grow within a real estate arena. So the knowledge and the information that I'm going to bring to you today is just basically how to choose the right real estate brokerage and some questions you may want to ask yourself and also the brokerage. First thing when you're choosing a real estate brokerage is you want to interview your potential brokerages. You want to narrow down your choices to a max of 3. This is important because, one, you don't have enough time in the world to try to interview with everyone. If you interview with 10 different real estate brokerages, you're going to have information overload. And after about the 4th or 5th brokerage, everybody's going to look the same and everybody's going to sound the same. So really, after the first 3, you should have a pretty good pulse on who's doing what, how do you feel about them. One, when you're interviewing them, you want to check out their offices. Go into their offices, see what they look like, see how the feel, the energy is within the office. And 2, you want to ask if you can attend one of their office meetings. Most brokerages have an office meeting about once a month. But outside of that, they do have different things that they do within the office every week. Now, outside of attending that office meeting, you want to also ask other agents in the office how they feel about their potential brokerage and, just what are their thoughts? Like, how do you guys like working for this particular company? Do you feel that your needs are being met? That sort of thing. As well, one more thing about attending office meetings, and this is important because it's going to segue into my next point but it allows you to see kind of how the broker of the office handles everyone. How is leadership? How is leadership in the office? Is it strong? Do you have a strong broker who is there, who's going to support you in your decision making, who's going to be there if you make a mistake to help guide you through the process? You want to also find out, do the agents in the office respect the broker? There are some offices where there's a broker who may be competing with the agents in the office. And that's another thing, is you don't really, as a brand new agent, want to be in an office where you're competing with your broker, who's a broker who's actually still practicing while also being a broker. That can be a little bit tough, because imagine going on a listing appointment and you find out that you're competing against your broker who probably knows a ton more than you do and is able to sell a little bit better than you do. So you want to let that be something that you find out in the beginning as well. We also want to find out if your broker has a good, caring heart. You want to know that they're, like I said, they're going to support you throughout the process. You want to find out if they have a good attitude, if they're upbeat. Do they support all the agents in the office? And one main huge point that I want to reiterate to you guys is just, are they trying to sell you? Is your broker trying to sell you on coming to their office, or are they basically walking with you to relay information about how they do real estate, what makes a successful person within this particular brokerage or office, and not trying to just show you the flash of, you can do this and you can have this many listings and you'll work with this many people and I think you'll be great at it. No, you want someone who's really going to they're going to have to sell you regardless, but it's a sale to get new brokers in the office. But you're in the driver's seat as the brand new agent, interviewing brokerages, interviewing brokers, and interviewing offices. You're in the driver's seat. This is more so for you than for anything else, because you want to find out who you work best with and who best works with you and your style. So my next thing on the list here is training. Training is super important, and there can be a lot of things that kind of come with training in terms of little nuances. But does the brokerage that you're going to provide ample training? Are there ample training opportunities? Do they offer classes? When I first got into real estate, the brokerage that I originally affiliated with offered a training class that was like a week long from their brokerage, and you learned everything. I mean, I left with a binder this thick of information. I mean, it was huge. You also want to know if your brokerages provide any type of mentorship. Are they going to provide a mentor for you to talk to, especially helping you with those first few closings, whether you're on the buyer side or the seller side? Is there going to be someone to help you? You're not going to know everything in regards to contracts and forms and all of this information, no matter how many classes you go to, because after you attend those classes, especially if you haven't closed the deal right after attending those classes, you're probably going to forget that information. So you want to be able to have a mentor to call to say, hey, which form do I need? You know, if a seller wants to do this, or my buyer wants to change this or that, you know, which form should I use to make that change in offer? So huge. Training is super important. What I will say about training is there are a couple of different things, this is going to segue into my next point, is you want to kind of look at funds and fees and how much each office is going to be. And so when you're a new agent, sometimes you may have to pay a little more to be at certain brokerages versus being at other brokerages. And that's because some brokerages may have really great training. Some brokerages may have okay training. So that all really just depends on the brokerage that you choose. But as a new agent, you want to go in feeling somewhat confident that you're going to have that support there available to you. So what I want to also talk about is, are there successful agents in the office? You say, well, Ronnie, why would I want to know if there are successful agents in the office? This is important because you want to know if your broker supports everyone in the office. If there's just one person in the office that's killing it, and then everybody else is like sinking and trying to swim, you know, everybody's closing one deal a year, obviously that's telling you something, that there's not a lot of support there to help those other agents in that office to succeed. I've made this kind of mistake in the past as well. I won't say that I was in a brokerage that didn't have a lot of successful agents, but I just felt like there could have been some more support given to help spread the love around to everyone else. That's just my opinion once again. So you kind of just want to know, you know, how the other agents are doing in the office. Next, this is another huge one as we move down the list. You want to find out and think about brick and mortar offices versus an online brokerage or an online office. This is important, and it's kind of crazy right now with COVID-19 going on, because right now going into an office is not really feasible. So online offices are really winning right now because they've set up their platform, their whole infrastructure to be based online. So there are a lot of online brokerages that are winning right now. What I will say is, check in my comment section or my description section below. You'll see the brokerage that I'm listing with. My brokerage is an online brokerage, but the information there is great, and we're able to still do business without having to meet in the flesh or go to an actual office. What I will say though, it's not necessarily right for everyone, especially if you're a brand new agent just starting out. You know, sometimes there's benefits to having an actual office to go to. One of mine that when I first started that I really wish I would have done a little bit different is there's a certain thing that they used to call desk time. Desk time was like one day out of the week, there had to be one or two agents in the office that's strictly there to handle incoming leads from people that just stop by the office and want to ask about a property. Yeah, that used to be big back in the day. It's not as big now, but I still say that if you're in a brokerage or you're in an office that is on a piece of property where you're on a main street, people can drive by, people see the sign of there's your brokerage and the name of your brokerage. If they see that, then people might actually stop in to ask information. I mean, it lends a bit of credibility to you. Now, an online brokerage, obviously, because you don't have an actual brick and mortar building, you're not going to have someone just stop by. So you have to kind of market yourself and really put yourself out there a lot better than you would if you were able to get desk time. So that's kind of always been my pet peeve in regards to being in a brick and mortar office or versus being in an online brokerage. If you have never done real estate, I do recommend a brick and mortar office, so hopefully COVID-19 goes away soon so people can get back into offices, people can go back to work, people can kind of get back to a sense of normalcy in life. And especially for newer agents that may be coming along, they're able to meet with other agents within that particular office. You want to know how much the fees are. Some brokerages can cost, hundreds of dollars, maybe $1,000, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Some brokerages may be $200. And these are startup fees to join. And then you have monthly initial fees that you also need to consider. Now, what I will tell you is you shouldn't be so bound by the fees as a new agent because one, yes, I always am a huge proponent of budgeting. You have to know your budget. You have to do a budget. You have to know where you stand financially so that you can succeed. Once again, I'll tell you, you are in a business for yourself. So this is huge. You want to make sure that you are accurately budgeting and saying, I have this much money. This is what I'm going to spend this much month on marketing. This is what I'm going to spend, next month on marketing, et cetera, et cetera. This is how much I can actually pay for fees that are due to MLS, et cetera, office fees, to the office that you may have to pay every month. What I also want to point out is if you go to a brokerage that says, hey, your cut is going to be, as the agent, is 50%, 50-50, versus you may talk to another broker who will say, well, we can make your cut 75-25. What I want you guys to remember is, and that's basically just saying, if you do a deal, let's say you close on a home, let's say the commission ends up being $1,000. If the commission is $1,000, if you're in a 50-50 split, you would get $500 and your broker would get $500. That's the 50-50 split. Then if you're like 75-25 split, you get $750. Your broker will get $250. What I want you to remember is, and those fees and splits, as you sell larger homes that cost more, your commission is going to go way up. But you don't want to be in a position where you're solely thinking about the split. As a new agent, I want to tell you something. 0% of 0 is 0. 0% of 100% is 0. 0% of 75% is 0. Or do I have that backwards? 75% of 0% is 0, and 100% of 0 is 0. Either way, you get what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not closing deals, if you're not prospecting, if you're not doing sales, if you're not doing marketing, if you're not touching clients every day and building your pipeline, it doesn't matter what your commission split is. If you're not selling anything, you're not getting commission. If you're not getting commission, you don't have a split. So you also want to just kind of make sure you're aware of that in the beginning. Just something to research and look up. So next, name recognition. And I think this will be my last point. But name recognition. Name recognition is also important. You want to find out and do some digging in terms of, are they a big name broker? There are several companies out here that are very well known. Some people may say, I only want to do or sell my house through a client or a B client, who has a commercial that has been shown during the Super Bowl, or a commercial that comes on, once a month, or they see them online, etc., or you recognize their yard signs all over the place. That's huge. That I will say though, you want to study your particular area in which you live. If you see a bunch of one company that's pretty much has yard signs in every yard in a particular neighborhood, that means they own a good bit of the market share in that neighborhood. So if that's the case, maybe you want to consider working for them, because that means that the people in that community may trust that particular brokerage over another. Now, if you've been in the game for a minute, then real estate is about sales and marketing. If you're selling yourself and people trust you and you do a good job and you are truthful, you have integrity, you're honest, you're a good person, you work with, you're fair. If people find those things about you, it doesn't matter what brokerage you go with, people will trust you and know that no matter where you are, you're going to do a good job for them. So that's another good thing. That's one thing to consider as well. But like I said, that name recognition can mean so much. It can actually help you win or lose a listing appointment. But as time moves on and you get better in your sales and marketing skills, it may not be as important, but it's just something else to research. So these have been my 6 tips, or my 6 points of interest, 6 main points of interest in regards to how to choose the right brokerage for you. There's a lot of information out there. You can Google your head off, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you and what feels good in your heart. Don't be led by pretty, shiny new things, but be led by what feels right in your heart and where your mind's telling you to go. If you lead with your heart, no matter what you do, you'll always be successful. That's just how I feel in life. Lead with your heart, follow your heart. Your heart and your gut will tell you what to do and what decisions to make, and you will feel fine for it. You will be able to sleep at night. So these are just my main points. This is my own personal thought process. So if you thought that this information was valuable, it was helpful to you, please feel free, like I said, to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. If you hit that notification bell, as I continue to release more information, you will be able to get that as soon as it's released. I'm so grateful that you guys decided to come back and listen to how to choose a real estate brokerage. And I look forward to bringing you new, innovative, and great content that helps you in your real estate career. Again, this is Ronnie J. Cole II with eXp Realty, your local Atlanta, Georgia real estate agent. And thanks so much for listening. And I hope you guys have an excellent and fantastic day. How to choose. Boo, 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 boo. That's all.